Alright, hey folks, here None again, and if you don't know me, I'm a furry, I am an anime enthusiast, I'm a father, and I have a shitload of time on my hands, it seems, even though I have to work 24/7. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is anime, and some of the anime you might want to take a look at coming up in the next 2016 area, summer 2016, and stuff that you may have missed during this time frame that you may also want to take a look at. This is not going to be anime you should watch throughout time, okay? That would take up, like, way too much time. I don't want to get into all that, plus there's a whole bunch of politics behind that. What I'm trying to try focusing on is anime in the 2016 realm that you can get online. Boom. There's a whole bunch of other stuff here that's good to watch, absolutely wonderful, but this is kind of my picks, stuff to take a look at. And I'm going to try to go from adult to more kid-friendly, accessible stuff here, okay? So if you're under 18, you can't watch violent images, you just don't like that stuff, please wait till later in the video here. But I'm just gonna go into some of the stuff here and mix it up between, like, some of the newer stuff, some of the stuff that's currently being released, and some of the stuff that's already been released, and you can get full-blown, you can just go ahead and binge-watch it today right after you see this video, okay? So, what I'm going to recommend is most of the stuff is take a look on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll.com is a service that you can get onto your Roku. Also, you can get online web pages and watch all this stuff here, okay? The only thing that you have to pay for if you want is Premium, which basically Premium gives you the stuff that came out like this week. You have to wait a full week to get the next release, and then after a series completes, basically you just have to wait for that following week to be done, and once, like, the week has been done, you can get, like, all the series. Nothing, whatever. Just right down onto your Roku or right down onto your webpage, okay? So, yes, adult anime, as my chat room is going on about. So, we're going to go quickly into our little fractal here. And first one I'm going to talk about is Re:Zero, Start of Life in Another World. This is a currently ongoing anime that I actually kind of... It goes into a lot of moe stuff. It goes into a lot of, like, oh my god, you're so cute, blah, 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 and a lot of anime tropes. But the cool thing in this is basically, imagine an anime that's like an RPG meets Groundhog's Day, okay? That is this anime. And this is kind of fun because you get to see, like, okay, they did this and they got themselves killed. Okay, they did this the second time, they still got themselves killed, but you saw, like, a different part of the story. And it's very interesting in the way they handle that, and, like, you see him do it once through like five or six episodes. You see him go through the same day over and over again until he finally gets it right, and then goes on to, like, the next few days, and then those next few days he gets himself killed again, and he's got to figure out why he got killed, and the next day he gets killed a separate way. He's got to figure out what happened that way, and then finally he gets through this other arc, and now he's like now it's like a week has passed at this point, and he's, like, already experienced death like 16 times, and he's got, like, the 100-yard stare, and people were like, why are you so, like, out of it and all that stuff? He can't tell anyone either, because anytime he does, like, it fucks with him as he does it as well. So definitely very interesting anime. I do recommend to take a look at it, despite all the anime tropes. Like, go ahead and watch, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes of this and kind of get a feel for it. You might like it as well. And again, the reason this is more the adult side is because some of the deaths are pretty violent, like losing limbs, getting stabbed, just, like, crushed. Like, yeah, this gets pretty violent at times too. So definitely one that I would recommend, but not for the kids if you can help it. Another one, Re:Life. The reason I put... This was a new one coming out. They released all the episodes. And I recommend this as well. Basically, they have this program where if you're basically a person that's a shut-in, who can't get a job, can't do anything, just living life out on the street, they have this new program called Re:Life, where you can actually take your life and start it over again. And they had this guy who's a 27-year-old, takes this with it because they basically say, we'll pay for everything here if you take this drug. Don't tell anything about it, and then boom, he's a high schooler again. Reason I recommend this as an adult rather than a child is because some of the implications can be kind of pedo-y in certain cases there. Understand, he's like a 27-year-old back in the body of a 16-year-old, and he's dealing with like a teacher that is like younger than him, yet his body is younger than hers, and he's like going through. He's trying to smoke. He's trying to, relate to kids, all that stuff. Trying to relive his life, even though he's been a fucking failure for most of it. This seems like it's going to be an interesting anime. I would probably take a look at it. I'm currently going through the second episode myself, and it looks promising at least. Haven't you heard I'm Sonomoto-kun? Actually, I could probably put this further down on the list here. I'll talk about this a little bit later. Reason being that it's good and it's actually kid friendly, I feel. Momokuri. Okay. This one, I'm going to say take a look at it simply because of the cringe factor. This is basically if you take a stalker and put it in a female role, how cute is it that she's stalking him and stealing all his stuff and taking pictures behind his back? That's basically this anime. I saw the first episode. I was creeped out. I was cringing the entire time. So I'm going to watch this through to the end if I can help it. Because again, like she's so in love with this guy that she's taking pictures. She had to wait until she could take 100 pictures of him before she could finally confess her love for him. He accepts in the first episode. So now they're going out. Now they're having all these mistrials and all this other stuff. And he's like, how does she know so much about me? And how did I deal with this? And blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, kind of cringy. Kind of going to watch it just for the factor of it as well. Parasite Maxim. Okay, now this is where we get into violence, okay? This is a full-on, like, anime where a guy basically gets a parasite put into his hand. He stops it off here, so the parasite only takes over up to the hand, right? Then all these other people, all these other creatures have been taken over by this parasite, and the parasite is like this. I don't think it's really evil that I can say, but it definitely wants to like consume, take over. It's a dark anime. It's a violent anime. It's equivalent to like what a Hellsing would be, but it's definitely one that you want to probably take a look at if you're into more adult, violent animes as well. Definitely a creep factor in this as well, but very well done, I can say. Bungo Stray Dogs. This can be violent, but it is good. I recently got into this. I am liking this anime. The characters all have small little quirks to them, but this basically all comes down to each person in the series almost has like a special ability of some kind. It's a male-centric anime. Lead antagonist is kind of androgynous in certain ways here. You do have female characters, but most of the female characters are just kind of side characters. It doesn't demean a lot of side characters so far. It has violence into it. It has guns shooting off. It has people getting limbs ripped off and all that stuff. But guess what? They regenerate, so they're okay. But either way, definitely an adult anime, but definitely adult humor. A good look to it. Clean art style. My wife likes it, which is a good sign as well. And I do definitely recommend taking a look into it. Now, Gate. I love Gate. It has a lot of moe tropes to it. It has a whole lot of like stuff that's kind of like typical anime trope type things. But I can at least recommend it. Now, basically, the story behind Gate is like a gate opens up in the middle of Tokyo, and out flood all these Imperial soldiers, orcs, monsters, etc. The SJ or Special Japanese Defense Force, SDJF, I think. You're probably going to correct me wrong in this here. But either way, they come in, they blow them back. They just like basically mow them down with all the modern technology that we have, and they repel the attack. And the aftermath of it is Japan going through the gate, setting up a base there, and basically not taking over, but kind of knocking the shit out of this other magical realm where, fantasy and medieval stuff still exists, and they're kind of like expecting the Japanese to fall over easy, and the Japanese are just like, yeah, we got M16s, we got, a couple tanks here, we got a couple helicopters, we're just going to blow the shit out of your, pitiful like Roman soldier bands here. And the whole politics going between that, dealing with an actual fantasy realm versus the real world, like the real world that we have into it, the actual indoctrination of it. It's not like every anime kind of skips a lot of these political questions of like how would you actually bring an elf into Japan without having being a huge scandal, and they actually show like when they bring people in, it's like a big deal. People like freak the fuck out. It's a great anime. I do recommend taking a look at it. It has a good backstory, I feel, to it, and in general, it's kind of it's almost a militaristic look at like a fantasy realm, which is kind of weird to take a look at. It's like the two mesh that you never would expect meshing, but I think they did a really good job on it. And like the logistics of it, I have to say, I almost spot on agree with a lot of the stuff that the progression of the story in it as well. Though the one character being a little bit too heroic at times, but that's because every story needs like that one heroic person that's like in everyone's business when they do it. Now, I told you I was going to do adult stuff. We have to do violent, and then we have to do ecche stuff. And Monster Museum, Every Day from Life with Monster Girls, I do love. Why? Because I love Monster Girl looks and all this other stuff here. Maybe it's part of it being a furry. Maybe it's just part of me being a pervert. I don't know, but I do love this series. It's pretty well spot on to the manga. It's fun. It's a little bit. I don't know. It's very much erotic as well, and I would definitely recommend taking a look at this if you're going to be taking a look at any of it. Only thing I can say is the one disappointment I have with this compared to the manga is I expected to see much more of the movement of the characters, and they try to hide it as much as they can in the first few episodes. Like they'll show full on shots of them standing still and the mouth moving, but not actually like movement until much later in the series. If they pick up another season of this, I really do hope they add in more of that movement, because that's like the interesting thing of it. Like take a look at the actual motion they put to the character rather than just like still frames, please. And no, I don't mean movement like as in bed, please. No. All right, The Lost Village. This is a bit of a head fuck. So we've had violent, we've had ecche, we now go into the mindfuck type things. This one's actually a pretty good mindfuck here. I won't give away too much on this because I don't want to lose you on it. I will say that the last episode was a little bit rushed, but it did kind of tie up and explain things. I wonder if they're going to have a follow-up to this because of some of the stuff in there. But basically the story is 30 people go into this area, and they're just trying to leave away their old lives. And they're going on this bus tour to what they call the Lost Village. And the Lost Village is this area that police don't know where it is. They can't find it any maps. It just happens to appear, okay? Now, they do get into the Lost Village, and at which point monsters start showing up. No one really knows what's going on. There's a bunch of, people running around doing things here, and shit goes down. And I can say, the idea behind it is good. The creepiness and the build-ups are good as well. And you get to see a lot of the things of it as, more of the interaction between people and how they react when they start seeing this. It really gets into, the state of mind of, why they tried leaving their old life behind and what they need to do to try to resolve that. So I do recommend taking a look at this, especially if you're looking for, a thinker-type anime and try to figure out what some of it goes on. Now, this is another one that's a little bit violent, not grotesque violent. I do recommend this though because it has a great story, a great style. I mean, even if you don't like sports or boxing, this one is pretty good. This is Hajime no Ippo, the fighting. This is about boxing, okay? And you take a look at some of the stuff with this guy who's trying to get himself up there. He's learning learning new fighting styles, training his body up. It's sort of like Rocky in an anime format as it goes on. And I can say, the main character's fight is great. But later on, when they get into some of these later episodes here, and they're discussing about this old bum and his trainer, and about their lives they had during, post-World War II, it's touching in certain ways. I love the story that they give on it, and I can't think of any way to like. They make out American to be the bad guy, but I don't mind that one bit for this anime because it really worked for this. I do really love the way they handled that, and I don't know. I can just say you will get feels for this in certain ways. You will have at least like some of the boxing stuff you'll probably get interested in, and like just some of the art style is just wonderful in this anime. I do recommend taking a look at it. It's probably one of the better ones to take a look at if you're just trying to get somebody interested into anime in general. Definitely recommend this one. You can show it to kids as well, I feel. But realize that you may have to explain some of the violence, some of the fighting. Understand that it's, again, a fighting anime, but a sporting event type of anime, too. Dura Dura. I'm probably not spelling that. Dura Ra Ra Ra. This is a great anime. It's sort of like a... I don't really know how to explain it, okay? There's a bunch of characters working with each other. Every story is its own kind of story here, but you see different parts of the story leading into the next episode, leading into the next episode, leading into the next episode, until you have a huge cast of characters. You're following all their stories at once, but it's all very interesting. And I can say that the one thing that's interesting on this is you have a Dolan, basically a knight in armor that has no head, as this character here, okay, the motorcyclist, and she's after her head. She's trying to figure out who she is because her head's been stolen. She doesn't have any recollection of who she is without it, okay? And they're basically, she's basically chasing around in it. She has a love interest on top of that as well. You have a bunch of kids who kind of are, like, involved in their own separate ways in this. I don't want to give away too much of the entire story here, but do take a look at it if you haven't already. It's one of those series that it's going to be probably going on for a while as well, but now is a good time to get caught up because I guarantee this will probably start up in the next year or so, getting into the other arcs of this as well. Oh, and I can also say the ends of arcs on this are pretty good. Like they do tie off and end a lot of things pretty well, which I have to say in other animes, they leave wide open. They leave a lot of stuff unanswered, which is just kind of dull. My love story. Now we're getting to stuff that you can actually show your kids and not have to worry about. Now, my love story, pretty straightforward, but you're dealing with this big guy here, Taka Agoda, and his love interest here as well. I don't want to spoil too much here on this, but they do get together. Okay, he has a friend there, and it's kind of like a romantic comedy of it as well, and it is a pretty good anime. Like you keep on assuming that at some point something bad's going to happen, and like minor things happen, but like no major like heartthrob type things. It doesn't feel like they goad you into crying or something else like that. But they do have some touching moments to it. They have like the cute moments between the two of them, and you kind of feel like why is she in love with like this big massive guy? But then you get more story as you go along with it, and seeing that the guy is actually a pretty good guy, and he just doesn't realize it. And it's good. It's touching. I do recommend taking a look at it. And if you have a girlfriend and you watch this with her, good times on that because you probably will have it. I don't want to spoil it. Yes, I know. Well, okay, I'll put it this way. It's in the 4th episode, so I'm not ruining too much for you on this, okay? Okay, it's right in the start that he gets the girl, okay? But it's like all the miscommunications they have after that, like it's a good overall anime, okay? I'm not giving any spoilers really on this, but I do recommend taking a look at it. They do have issues they go along with. You're kind of wondering how they're going to get through some of this. Why does she love him, etc. But you take a look at all this stuff and why they get along and how they get together. It's touching. I can say that. I do recommend this story in this anime here as well. Space Patrol Luluco. Actually, I should probably put it after. Darn it. I actually did not put Kill la Kill on here. I do recommend Kill la Kill as well. Assuming I put it on here somewhere. Oh, I did put Kill la Kill on here. I just skipped over it. I apologize, guys. So, Kill la Kill. Okay, before I get into Space Patrol, Kill la Kill is a full-on series. It's by the same guy that did Gurren Lagann, and he was involved in Fooly Cooly. I don't remember to the extent he was involved in, but Kill la Kill. If you watch anime and you haven't heard of Kill la Kill yet, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. If you're new, never to watch anime, definitely take a look at this. This is probably one of the few animes that could be considered a feminist anime, because you have a female protagonist who also fights other female villains. You don't have a female characters are not defined by trying to get with a guy or trying to date somebody. It has skimpy clothing. It has like, like the skimpy transformation sequences, but part of it is because they're making fun of like all this other stuff there that goes with it too. Kill la Kill is a bit zany, a bit of a rough start, I would say as well. Like everything happens, you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? As you get further and further into it, you're gonna watch it, you're gonna understand more, and then by the end, you're gonna be like, oh my god, what the fuck happened? Oh my god, I gotta watch this again. It is one of those animes that will kind of like draw you in for the first 4 episodes, and then you kind of get into it, and it's like, by the 5th or 6th episode, you're like, well, I've got to see what's going on here. And you think it's going to be like a standard, what do you call them? Like a tournament anime. Like, you get into DBZ or into Yu-Gi-Oh! They have like tournaments going up to people. Like strong enemy, strong enemy, strong enemy. It kind of gets into that, but it turns out not to be that. And then you learn more about the characters that go in there. Definitely recommend taking a look at it. Definitely a zany out there at times, but other great stuff as well. Now to go from that down to Space Patrol Luluco. Space Patrol Luluco is made by the same company that does Kill la Kill. And these are shorts, okay? Short animes, but a lot of these are just like bang, bang, shoot 'em up, etc. I think the most violent is that they do have kind of like Ren and Stimpy type of violence to this, but everyone kind of survives, so it's not that bad. And some of the stuff is also just like way out there to go into it as well. And the ending is just kind of slapped together, but it has good references to a lot of other animes. Has like it's kind of cut and paste in some of the ways there, but the jokes work out, I feel. Take a look at this. It's not a long series, so you can watch this right after you've finished up Kill la Kill, and I think this will probably take maybe half an hour, like less than 2 or 3 hours at most, but you'll probably enjoy it, I think, especially if you like Kill la Kill. Now, haven't you heard? I'm Sonomoto-kun. I like this anime because it basically takes a male protagonist who's just way too cool for himself and puts him inside of this, like, everyone's trying to like go after him type in different ways, and at the end they're just like, he's just too cool for me, I can't deal with it. And they have other protagonists that keep on trying to get it, but he always gets himself out of it. Like, they want him to fight the class bully, but he doesn't end up fighting the class bully. Instead, he like goes it. He does like this other thing here where a police officer comes and says, "You kids aren't fighting, are you?" And it's like, "Oh no, officer, we're doing sumo wrestling." And it's like, "Okay, I'll judge." And then they'll just keep on going, and they're trying to slap each other off, and like eventually he just like before he actually he's getting, the other guy's getting weak. He's like, "I'm not gonna last. It's gonna be going." It's almost as good as he's got his hand up, ready to push, and then pushes him back. And he pushes him back and then into the open door of a cab. He's like, "You looked a little tired there, so I got you a cab." And he's just like so cool about it. My wife kind of like also is like sitting in the background with me while I watch this, and she tries to say that she doesn't like the animes or anime in general, and she doesn't like this anime. But then she'll be like, "What did he just push him into a cab to get out of the fight?" And it's like, "Yeah, that's what he did. You have a problem with that?" It's like, "Oh, no, I'm not paying attention." It's one of those animes that just kind of draws you in because of how stupid but cool it looks at the same time. I definitely do recommend this one as well. It's very low violence, a lot of jokes to it, a pretty good anime overall. Now, let me make sure. Okay, Waganaria. This one's a little bit older on the list here, and it's definitely has like 2 seasons on top of it. And Waganaria 3 just came out this year. Reason I recommend this one here is because it has a good arc to it. A lot of characters. I'd almost say it's a character flaw anime where everyone has something kind of weird about them, and they all basically come together and seeing how that interaction works. Okay, you got one girl with a she's older but she's short, so everyone picks on her height. You got another woman who's androphobic, so she can't stand men and she punches the shit out of them. You got another woman who carries a sword around with her all the time because her parents were blacksmiths and made swords, and she doesn't see what's wrong with that. And you've got another one that's a manager that just keeps on eating and is totally irresponsible, but kicks the shit out of any free loafers. You got a guy who's very ill-tempered, but has a crush on one of the other employees. You got another woman who's just an entire, actually, she's more of a girl, but she's she's a liar, like habitual liar, and has to lie about her, her age, the fact that she ran away from home, all this other stuff there. You got another one that likes to blackmail people just to see what horrible things will happen. You got another guy whose wife keeps on getting lost, and she's constantly on the look for her. A whole lot of different characters just working together on a restaurant. A lot of funny, zany stuff goes on in this one. Probably recommend this again for kids. Not too bad. Worst you have is some alcohol drinking, so not really that bad at all. Now, finally, Yurei Yurei. This will probably fall in between of the realms of very cute, lolicon type of stuff here, but a lot of good comedy in it. When I first took a look at this, I was looking for Yurei. Yay! Basically, girls love. And this was basically a story with all female cast. No males in this as well. But it was a real funny story, and after I watched the first season, I watched the second season, and I watched the third season. I can't get myself off of this goddamn series because it's funny. Again, another character anime. Each character has their own type of flaw or trait to them, and a lot of stuff is pretty good on it. I got into it. It looked pretty interesting, and I have to say, I will probably recommend taking a look at this if you haven't already. They just finished up the third season after a long break after the first and second seasons, and didn't disappoint too much, and I probably recommend taking a look at this as well. This is another one I'll probably be back at another point in time because it's easy to just make characters that will show up. I think the worst in this is that you have one character in here that constantly fantasizes about all the other girls making out or doing something sort of risque, but almost all the other ones they're pretty good. And of course, as a Yurei anime as well, every girl has almost a crush on everyone else except for the ones that are just totally uninterested at all. But that's kind of the fun of it. That's kind of the draw to it as well. But anyways, that's some of the animes I'd recommend taking a look at this season, at least in the 2016 season. You may have some other ones that I didn't mention here. Perfectly fine. This is just kind of stuff that I've went through and gone over this 2016 season. There's definitely other older ones I can recommend, and there's other stuff in the 2016 that I can say stay away from as well. If you have any questions about that, I'll probably answer it, but most of them are either, if they don't make this list, okay, most of them are either just simply ones that didn't make my standard to recommend it, which it doesn't mean it's a bad anime. It just didn't make. I didn't think other people may enjoy it. Like, it may be too niche for some people, or maybe already is filled by something else that's better on this list, in my opinion. But there are some that are bad as well that I can say stay away from if you can. It's kind of there is junk anime the same way there is junk sitcoms and all this other stuff there. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Oh, I should mention, I did not get into any of the serialized animes because I don't want you guys feeling like you have to get into it, because there's Gintama, which I can recommend. There's Fairy Tail, which I can recommend. There's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that I can recommend. But the and One Piece I can recommend as well. But the problem is to get into those animes, it's going to take you all year. Okay, the problem if you haven't got into those already, those are an entire set of stuff that you have to get into it, and you're going to be like week after week after week watching the same anime to get caught up, and I can't do that to you guys. You're going to be interested to take a look at new stuff there. That's fine, but some of the stuff that's coming out for serialized, maybe I'll do a best of serialized a little bit later. But again, I have to look at it as like if it's a big anime, it has like over 100 episodes. Possibly watch that on your own to see if you like it, but otherwise it is an investment of your time. But anyways, guys, that's my recommendations for anime, at least on the 2016 sides. If you have any other recommendations, I understand. Go ahead, put them down. I'll probably take a look at them if I haven't already. And oh, the other thing I should mention as well, keep in mind, the stuff that I put down here was stuff that's available on Crunchyroll.com or available on Hulu.com as well that you can take a look at. A lot of that stuff is easily available, so I don't want to recommend anything that you have to go buy or stuff you have to go rent as well, because that just kind of sucks for you guys if you have to go ahead and get this and then maybe you don't like it because of my recommendations. I can't do that to you guys. Why am I getting a